Welcome to another episode of my comp prep series to the WBFF stage in April, which is about 12 weeks away, I believe. In this video, I will show you exactly how I meal prep for the week ahead. So hopefully in this video, you will get some tips, which I will share with you all. So make sure you're watching all the way through to the end, where I will give you guys some tips to help you when you do your meal prep. So right now, because I am in a competition prep, which means I am in a cutting phase, so I am in a calorie deficit. The meals that I prep is generally and typically what I have when I'm not in prep. It's just that right now I am tracking every single thing that I am eating, obviously because I am doing a competition, but on a regular basis, the things that I'm having is pretty much the same. And right now, it's just being smart with my food choices, making sure that I am organized, that I am prepping my meals to prepare me for the week ahead so that I have less things on my plate. So when it comes to meal prep, I like to prep the protein, as you could see here. It's all the protein that I prep in bulk. Protein is a non-negotiable for me, and especially if the goal is fat loss. Protein is going to help with satiety and to help preserve muscle and build muscle at the same time. So protein is a non-negotiable, as you could see here, and I'm going to take you through how you're going to see me chop it up, prep it, and everything like that in this video. So that's a non-negotiable. And when it comes to meal prep, I know that it takes time, yes. It takes effort, yes. And often a lot of people can't find the time. But meal prepping takes, yes, it requires all of that. But when it comes to meal prep, there's so many things that could help you in terms of when you're meal prepping, in terms of saving time, saving money, and being more accurate to get to your goals. So yes, it is effort, it requires time, but I suggest time block 2 to 3 hours, which I generally take 2 to 3 hours over the weekend. That's what I do. I tend to do it over the weekends, where I time block 2 hours and I just get my meal prep done. This way, the hard work is done over the weekend, and then I have my meals ready to go throughout the whole week. So saves time, saves money, and just reduces decision making as well. So prep your meals, put the effort in, and especially if your goal is to build muscle or even fat loss, preparing is key. So dedicate time block it. And I could tell you, the more that you meal prep, so because I've been meal prepping for a long time, it just gets easier, and it's basically what I do on a regular basis. So right now, because I am in prep, it's just the same habit that I've been doing, but right now in a calorie deficit, my calories are a little bit lower, so I just have to be mindful, and I'll take you guys through what I would be having as well. So firstly, we're going to start with our protein. So when I prep my meals, like I mentioned, protein is a non-negotiable for me, especially if you are in a fat loss phase. Make sure you are on top of your protein. This way, it's not just essential to preserve your muscles, but at the same time, you are able to have the energy to train as well as recovery. So protein is a non-negotiable. This is the first thing that I start with. So over here, if you can have a look over here, I've got various sources here that I've laid out. I try to mix it up with a variety of red as well as white meat. So I do have a variety here, which I will have for the next 5 days. So from Monday all the way through to Friday. So I have some extra lean beef mince over here. I typically get the 95% meat and 5% fat free, so I choose the leanest one here. It is in package, so this one is 500 grams, and basically I just divide this by 5. It's just easier when I get it in package, that way I could divide it by however many days that I've been getting, we'll be having the protein. So I've got extra lean beef mince. I also do have the beef steak, which I will cut up into stir-fry strips so that it's just easier for me to separate for 5 days as well. I basically cut everything into small stir-fry strips. So I've got these two for my red meat. Then when it comes to the white meat, I do have chicken breast. So chicken breast is the leaner cuts, obviously, compared to your chicken thigh, because right now my calories aren't too high being in a fat loss phase. I want to keep my protein sources quite lean so they don't have a lot of fat in it. And not to say that fat is in your protein is bad for you. I'm not saying that at all. It's actually healthy, and it's something that we all should be having, those kind of fats, especially in your red meats. They do contain some fats in it, but they are high in vitamin B, so do not neglect your red meats. But because, like I mentioned, I am in a cutting phase, so I need to be a little bit more mindful of my calorie intake. But when I'm not in a cutting phase and I'm maintaining or I'm building, I definitely do have a lot more variety, a lot more options when it comes to my protein sources. Not just protein sources, but also my carb sources and my fat sources. So I have chicken breast, which is 500, so I get close to 500, so I'm going to divide that for 5 days, from Monday to Friday. And then I have turkey. This is 400 grams, and I'm going to divide that by 5. So they are my white meats. And then my pork. So I like to have variety. I don't tend to stick to 1 or 2 sources. I have, so right now here is 4. This is the 5th source, so pork. So I've got 5 different sources of protein here that I could have for the whole week ahead. So that way I mix it up and it's not the same, and I don't find it boring. So they are my protein sources for the next 5 days. And then I have the turkey pre-made. Obviously, I'm not going to cook this because this is already pre-made, but I love this so much. It's just super simple, especially when I need to get my protein intake in. Let's just say I got 20 grams of protein or 10 grams of protein left of the day. Usually people resort to protein powders to make up their protein for the day, but I try not to rely on protein powders. I only have my protein powders in my oats because it gives it that taste and I genuinely enjoy it. But this, I have it in a wrap or my crumpets or sandwich. I'll add in some lettuce, and that is such a good snack. So I'm not gonna cook this today, but I just wanted to show you that this is what I normally have as well. And you could get so many pre-made meat in the markets. You could put it in salad, you could put it in rice, you could put it in so many options. And this is also a great option if you're time poor and you don't have time to prep your meals. There's always options, and there's no excuses. If you're serious about your goals and you want to gain muscle or you want to drop body fat, nutrition, eating well, I don't really like to use the word healthy, but eating well and making sure it is diverse. You've got your micronutrients, you've got your macronutrients, you've got your protein, especially if the goal is fat loss or building muscle, then there's no excuses to not be eating well. Like, there's so many options, and I feel that people think that you have to prep your meals. I don't have time. Yes, there are times where we don't have time, but there's so many options in the market. Anyway, I've dragged on. So I am going to prep my protein for you guys. And while I prep, just gonna cut everything. So I basically do it one by one. So I'm gonna start off with my chicken, and then yeah, I'm just gonna cut it into strips, and you will see that as I said, I'm chopping these chicken into some thin strips like so. This way I'm able to fry it and separate them into 5 lots. I also like to, just something about me, I don't know why, but I like to chop off the fatty parts, even though I don't know why, but it's just a habit. But for me to chop these up, it won't take too long because I've been doing this for as long as I remember. Protein is a non-negotiable for me, so I'd like to think that I'm pretty fast when it comes to chopping up the meats into this section. Also be mindful that you don't chop your fingers as well. So yeah, pretty much as you could see over here, I try and get rid of this. It's not going to make much of a difference, but I just like to get rid of these. But I know that in the supermarkets you could actually also get these already cut, so they're already in strips, but I think that they are a little bit more expensive because they've already been cut. I do tend to get those pre-cut ones. They're called the stir-fried strips, but because I like to save on, I like to think that I could chop it myself and save a few dollars, but also I find that, I don't know, I actually enjoy meal prepping. As weird as it sounds, I actually enjoy it. It feels good. It feels like I've accomplished something, and especially once I'm done meal prepping, by the end of it, it just feels good that my meals, especially my protein, has been prepped for the week. So I generally enjoy it. Like, it feels like it's a me time to not work, to not be on my laptop, to not be scrolling. So that's the thing, guys. For those that say you don't have time to meal prep, there is always time to meal prep. Rather than going on social media, scrolling through social media, which I know I do it sometimes too, but you could make so good use of your time to meal prep. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, you save time, you save money, and it's just easier. And I wouldn't say easier, but it's more likely for you to get to your goals. So I'm almost done, and then I'm just going to do the rest as well. So when I prep my protein, and right now, because I need to be as accurate as I possibly can with everything that I put in my mouth, especially being in a fat loss phase, sometimes when you are at the shops and you buy it in packages like I have here, always double check. Sometimes the weight of whatever protein that you're having is not the same as what is said on the package. So over here it says 569. So let's double check over here. I'm going to weigh this to see if that is accurate. I always double check because, like I said, there's always inaccuracies, and it's good to double check as well. So I've also chopped some of the fat out. So and that's the thing. Well, it's almost there. So that says 569, this says 566. So it's always good to double check, but because I'm going to have, I typically have 100 grams per day. So then I'm gonna weigh it up to 500. So it's just easier for me to divide that. So I'm just gonna take it up to 500. Doesn't have to be exactly. Oh. So I'm just gonna roughly keep it at 500 so that I know, and I've just been doing this every single week. I'm gonna keep it at 500, and then the remainder, I'm just probably gonna have it over the weekend. So that is done for the chicken, and the same thing, the turkey, the pork, the beef steak is what I'm gonna do. So yeah, another thing that, a tip for you guys is that when you are tracking it into a nutrition app, so I'm using MyFitnessPal. I have been using it for the last 5 years. Although there are a lot of inaccuracies, sometimes you could log food in, and when you search for foods, sometimes they are not the macronutrient breakdown. For example, the protein, carbs and fats of a particular food is not the same as what it will have on the nutrition label. So this one is, what I'm going to cut up right now is turkey breast steak. If you just type in turkey breast steak into MyFitnessPal, it will come up with so many options. Always double check. So double check with the nutrition label at the back as well. So that is a tip for you to use, because sometimes people could just log in a turkey breast and it could be way off than what it is mentioned here. So always double check on the label as well, just so that you have that accuracy. And because what I've said, MyFitnessPal is not the most accurate tool, but in saying that, it's what you have been doing consistently. I have been tracking the same thing. If you can't find your food, then select one that's as close as possible and just be consistent with that. So that's a tip for you guys. So safety, health and safety, I should be tying my hair back. So that's what I'm going to do, because I could tell you that sometimes when I'm having my protein, I have a hair that comes out, and it's because I don't tie my hair back. So guys, make sure when you are handling any kind of foods, make sure you have your hair up. So that's what I'm going to do. Health and safety. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Is that called health and safety? I have no idea. But anyway, hair is tied back. My hair is really long. So I did wash my hands. Gonna wash it again. And make sure, yes, make sure you wash your hands, because you do not want to get sick or have an upset stomach. So I'm going to continue chopping these away. So just now I'm doing the turkey, and I just like to do it really fast so that I get it out of the way, and then that's done. So yeah. I tell ya, such a workout for the arms. Just chopping these. Like, my arm's getting a good workout. Or maybe because I did some upper body today. But if you want an arm workout, chopping these, I tell you, maybe it's for your motivation. But oh, my arms. But yeah. Anyway, that's probably a stupid joke, but yeah, but seriously, I did arms. Actually, I trained this morning. I trained arms this morning. It was a good session. I did lower body yesterday, so my arms, I did arms today, and my arms are feeling it. But feels good to get my training out of the way. Now I'm meal prepping. Just feels good when you're able to accomplish tasks, and especially task that serves you towards your goals. It's hard to begin with. The thought of meal prepping is like no one wants to do it. I get it. We have lives, we want to do other things that are a little bit more fun. Prepping may be the last thing that people want to do, but it's just like training. You know, once you're in it, like right now, and I was going to say I'm having the time of my life, but there's so many other things that I'm having the time of my life. But it just feels good to get this done, because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of the week ahead. I'm thinking, okay, I don't have to have that extra on my plate where I have to organize my meals. That's the last thing that I want. And especially for me, which I will film for you guys. Let me know in the comment section below if you want to see me, a day in my life and what I get up to on a work day. Today is a weekend, so it's pretty chilled, but I like to meal prep because I do have quite a busy life where I'm an online fitness coach. So during the week, I really want to dedicate all of my time and energy so that I don't have to think about anything else but serve my clients, get my own session in as well, because I need to for prep. And the last thing I want to do is to do this. I just get it all out of the way, and then that way I have less on my plate. And I'm sure for most of you that are listening have your 9-to-5 job, and it's just, you don't have the time to prep your meals, because by the time you get home, you're thinking, oh shit, what am I gonna eat? I'm so tired. And then you go out to eat. So it is so important to meal prep. And if you could just dedicate 2 to 3 hours over the weekend to just do what I'm doing, which is not gonna take too long, especially for me, I've been doing this for a long time. It's just a habit. I actually don't mind it at all. It's a routine for me, so it just comes easy. So get into the habit of meal prepping. Just take 2 hours. That way it's just gonna be less on your plate throughout the week. And then you come back home and you have a meal ready for you. You don't have to think, you don't have to think, what am I gonna eat? You just have your meals in front of you. So obviously over the weekends, I do have flexibility, but not right now because I'm in prep. But just make that effort over the weekend to, meal prep. So got the turkey, got the chicken. I'm gonna do the pork and then the beef. So these are the two that I'm gonna chop up, and then I'm done, and then I'm gonna start cooking. So again, I've just chopped up the turkey. The turkey in this package says 400 grams. So I'm just gonna double check. I do it with every single meat that I am going to cook, because there's always that inaccuracy. So as you could see here, it said 400, and it's always the case. As you could see, it's 392, so it's not exactly to the 400, which was listed here. So it says 400, so it's short me 8 grams. How dare you? This always happens. I know this because I've been getting this a lot, and there's always inaccuracies, but that's fine. I just note this down, so I make sure I know that this is 392, and I divide not 400, I divide 392 by 5. So everything that I'm prepping for this protein is for 5 days. So I'm going to divide this by 5, not 500, not 400, which is what was said here, 392. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. So it's always good to double check. So the next thing that I am chopping up is beef steaks. As you could see here, I have been getting this at the local supermarket. So with this, it is quite good with the macros. It's quite lean. There's only 4.3 grams of fats in 4.3 grams of fat in one of these. So they are the leaner cuts for your beef. Typically speaking, beef does have, depending on which part of the beef that you get. Some are quite fatty, but this one is a beef steak, so there's not much fat to it. I do try to eat more red meat purely because of vitamin B12, which is high in all of your red meats, and especially as women we need to have vitamin B12 for our hormone functioning. So I try to have steak, so I religiously have this every single day. So this comes to about 300 because it's 150 per steak, so 2 of this is 300. But we'll see, we're gonna weigh it again just to see how accurate it is. But make sure, ladies, to not ditch your red meats. They're incredibly high in your B12 vitamins, which you can't get it in your white meats. So if you're not having enough red meats, then you'd have to supplement with a vitamin B12. So I try my best to get a lot of vitamins, essential vitamins, especially for women, vitamin B12 or vitamin Bs. Actually, there's so many. There's vitamin B6. I won't get into too much detail for that yet, maybe in another video. So keeping on top of my vitamins. I do have fish, but I usually have that over the weekend because fish, especially salmon and your barramundi, have high omega-3 fatty acids, which is essential for not just women's health, but also for brain function, brain health. Fish, omega-3 fatty fish in your seafood. But in saying that, every single day I do supplement fish oil. I have it every single day. So on the days that I do have fish, I still have fish oil. Fish oil is incredibly important. If there was one supplement, I would say fish oil. Okay, so back to this B12. I'm gonna B12 in the steak. I'm gonna chop it up into small pieces, just exactly the same like I did with the chicken as well as the turkey. And with this steak that I'm cutting up right now, it does have some flavoring and seasoning on top. So if you could zoom in a little bit, but if you can't really see, but there is sort of some flavoring. I'm pretty sure it's some pepper. So they've definitely put some pepper, and I think they're capsicum, I'm not sure, but there is some seasoning to this meat, which is great. The thing that I wanted to say is that in the markets, when you get your protein, nowadays there are protein sources. So whatever beef sauce that whatever meat sauce you're getting, they do have flavoring. Some of them have good macros in them, so always check. But if you are wanting to have it a little bit more flavored, then you have those options there. I do normally get those, but I will show you in a little bit my own flavoring. I just chose this one because this beef is my go-to. I really like this brand, and usually I just get rid of call me weird, but I tend to get rid of the fatty parts. I know they're not going to make much of a difference, but I just prefer to have the fatty parts out, but please don't judge me. Okay, cool. So we're almost done with the beef. Almost done with the beef. I would say that that's pretty much it, and then I am just going to weigh it and just to see how much this weighs. So if you come over here, let's have a look. So always 0. Even though it says 1 strip, so there's 2 strips in here, even though it says 1 is 150, and I did cut out some of the fatty parts out. So this comes to probably get rid of, I think that'll stay there. Oops, one more. So I would just round it up to 275. So I'm gonna record that. Okay, so basically I've cut up the chicken, the turkey, the beef steak, and I'm not gonna cut the extra lean beef mince because we can't cut that. How do you cut that anyway? So you can't cut that. It's just a beef mince. But anyway, if you come over here, I recorded down 500 grams of chicken, 392 of the beef steak, and I think this one was 275 of the beef steak, and then 500 grams of the extra lean beef. So this is what I always do because I don't have the best memory. I recorded all of this. What I'll be doing is I'm going to divide this by 5 because you always want to weigh the raw weight because you want some consistency, because once they're cooked, the water gets absorbed out, so the volume of the meat is going to reduce in weight because the water's being sucked out while you fry it. So always, whatever method you use to track into your nutrition app, whether that is MyFitnessPal or another app that you're using, always be consistent. For me, I've always weighed everything raw. I always weigh it raw. It's just more consistent that way for me, and this is how I've been doing it. So this is why I've got this listed, so then for later when I do pop everything into the nutrition app, for me it's MyFitnessPal, I will just divide everything by 5 so that I know exactly what I'm having. So that is for me. Make sure this is just how I do it so I don't forget. So I'm basically ready to cook the meals, the protein. So when I cook the protein, I like to put 2 pans here. That way I'm cooking 2 at once. It's just faster that way. So let's get cooking. And before we start cooking, I'm going to show you something that I use to make the meats taste yummy. And if you have not seen my grocery haul shopping video, I talk about flavoring your meats, or not just your meats, but your meals, your veggies, everything. Seasoning is a game changer. So I have been using Mingle. Mingle is an Australian company. I don't think you could find Mingle anywhere else. I live in Australia. They're Melbourne based. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Hello, if you're from Australia, please do let me know. If you're not, please also do let me know where you're from, because I would love to connect with people from all parts of the world. So I'm gonna prepare my seasoning. Okay, so this is my seasoning stash, and I'm going to show you the seasoning that I have. Okay, so what I've mentioned about the seasoning, I love Mingle. As I mentioned, it is an Australian-based company. I don't think you could get it anywhere else, but they look like this. I'm just gonna show you guys. So with this, I've tried so many different seasoning, but this one, I really love this one because there's no added sugars in it. It feels natural, like it tastes natural, and there's no sort of that fakeness in seasoning. There's no, and it doesn't taste very high in sodium, so it's low in sodium and no sugar. So this goes really well with meat and everything else that you're cooking, really. So I have been using this religiously for as long as I remembered. I don't know when, since they've come out, so probably almost a year. I season this in, I swear by it, Mingle. I swear by it. I season it in my protein, I season it in my veggies, I season it everywhere. So this is a game changer, I swear by it, because if it wasn't for these, then my meals would not taste as yummy. I also do use paprika. I love paprika, and I also swear by it because I've been seasoning with paprika for a long time. I really like that smoky. Always make sure I get the smoky one. It's sweet smoked. I know that there's there's different forms, but I get the smoked one because I really like that smoked hint, as well as that, I suppose, spiky, and what else? The sweetness that the flavoring goes well with when I put it in with my meat. You'll see what I'll do shortly. So I use this. I also add in some pink salt to it just to give it that flavoring, extra flavoring. It's basically it. So I will fry this in a second. You will see. I'll fry my meat. I'll chuck this in, whip that in, and yes, it's pretty much it. I'm no master chef. When people see the foods that I eat and they see the color and they see it looking nice, I basically just chuck everything in, and you'll see shortly what I mean. And people just think that I'm a good cook, but I'm not. I don't think I am. I just eat the same foods every day, or similar foods, and I just add this. This is like everything to me. But let's get started. So I'm gonna pop 2 pans here, and then we're gonna get frying. We're gonna get frying. Yes, let's do it. All right, so let's get cooking. I sound like this is like a cooking class. It's not a cooking class. I'm just prepping my protein here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on both so that I save time. 2 frying pans are on. What do I do? Okay, do not panic. Chicken in. It's so simple, guys. Turkey in. Should have put the other way around, but that's fine. That's going to fry. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get some. That's important. That's important. All right. So over here, what I'm going to do, as you could see, paprika. I just guess, I don't weigh it out. That's what I do. And then I chuck in some of this. And then I chuck in some of this. Just a bit of everything. Did I put some salt in? I can't remember if I put on salt. No, I did not put on salt. Did I put on salt? I can't remember. I'm gonna put on salt anyway. Like, I'm not even joking, guys. This is how I prep. And then trusty spatula, and then I just mix. As you could see, if you could come closer. So I just like mix everything in together like so. And as you could see, like the redness is from the paprika that I put in. And this is all because I've been doing this for a long time. Like I'm used to the amount that I have to use in terms of seasoning. Like it's just gonna feel. That's what they say when you cook. So as you could see already, that I'm mixing everything together. So I'm just multitasking right here. It's just quicker this way. And then sometimes if I feel that it's a little bit clear, I add it in a little bit more. Like I mentioned, I've been doing this every single week. It's just I could do this with my eyes closed. I'm not even joking. So just mix it up, and it's frying, it's soaking in the seasoning. And even when I have the meals on the day, if there's not enough flavoring, I just add in some pink salt to it. So as you could see, both of them are cooking simultaneously. This looks good to me. It's very quick. I just do it really quick. This is exactly how I prep my protein. So this is for 5 days worth. I'm gonna cook the other 2 in a second, and I'll show you how I'll do it. But so you're gonna whip it up. So always gotta mix it because you don't want it to burn. And make sure you're cooking this thoroughly as well. So I think the seasoning on both looks good to me. I probably will add in, oh yeah, another thing is I don't add any oil to it. I haven't I just don't add oil. I don't feel the need to. It's just that when I do fry it in bulk, sometimes the sauce comes out, but I generally don't put any oil at all. So I feel that the paprika brings out the juices from the meat. So I'm just gonna add in, sometimes I do go a little bit overboard, but that doesn't matter if you go overboard. It won't hurt. So that is almost done. So as you could see, the juices do come out, so I don't really need to put extra oil because yeah, it already tastes nice. Like I could already tell. So this is protein prep for 5 days. Okay, so I would say that this has been frying for the last 5-ish minutes. The turkey is ready. Usually when it comes, and that's the thing, when you cut it into small strips like this, it's a lot faster to cook. So then that is in there. I usually separate it into glass containers like so. So the chicken, as I've mentioned, I like to cook it for a little bit longer because it's important to have cooked chicken. You don't want any parts of it to be raw. So I tend to have it in the fry pan for a little bit longer. And that is done. And I'm just gonna pop this into the glass container so that it will cool down. Okay, so that's done. Right now I've done the 2 and that literally took less than 10 minutes. While they're still both on, I'm gonna cook the lean beef mince, and I want to show you guys exactly how I cook it. I don't weigh it because I'm pretty sure I've been having this no jokes. It just looked weird when I was cutting it like that. I'm not that aggressive. No. Anyway, don't add that in. No, add that in. No. Okay, Nisa, take 2. You did not see what I did before. So with this, I just chuck it in. Like I said, I don't weigh it because I'm pretty sure that this is 500. And as you could see, this is what I usually do with the beef. It's a workout. If you want to work out, meal prep. No, jokes. But anyway. It is a workout, I tell ya. Anyway, so this is what I do. I'm not that aggressive, guys. Trust me, I'm not that aggressive. Anyway, so I'm gonna pop this like so, and what's gonna happen is that, serious, I'm filming here. So the juice is gonna come out. So I'll let that fry. While I let that fry, because I'm gonna multitask, I'm gonna chuck the beef steak. Yes, I'm gonna chuck it in like that. So that's that. Easy. 2 already done here. Due to technical errors, I will be giving you a voiceover in this part of the video. So, over here, as you could see on the right side, I am adding all the seasoning to the beef steak and just mixing it through. On the left hand side, so where I have the beef lean mince, I have not added any seasoning. I am just separating it with a wooden spoon so that the excess liquid will come out. Then shortly I will drain this pan of the lean beef mince using a colander. While I'm doing that, I'm also multitasking and stirring the other side. This just saves me time. So I've taken out the colander, and then what I'm going to do is just drain the excess liquid here, as you could see. So I haven't added any seasoning, just so that I could complete this part. There will be lots of excess liquid here, so I'm just going to use the wooden spoon. So I can't remember what I've said exactly, so I've used the wooden spoon and I'm just draining the excess liquid. Then I'm going to pop that back into the pan and then add the seasoning. Just draining the excess liquid makes it less soggy. I just like it this way. It just seasons better, in my opinion. Sorry guys, but there was just a little bit of intermission because the audio was out of battery, so we had to charge that. So I hope you enjoyed my voiceover, but let's continue with the meal prep. So right now, following on, I'm just going to turn these on. So I've just drained the beef mince. As you could see over here, the liquid is out, so it's quite dry. Then I will add the seasoning in. So you saw that I didn't add the seasoning in before, just to drain the excess water. Now I'm gonna add the paprika. So because of the intermission, it sort of cooled down, but no worries, no stress. We are going good with this meal prep. So as you could see, I've added in the paprika just to give it that red color. So I pop that in. I believe that the paprika, and then add a little bit of the seasoning. Add a little bit of salt. So simple. All right, so this is done. I'm just gonna pop it into the glass container over here so that I will eventually section that out later, and I'll show you how I do it. So I'm just gonna add it here. Turn that off. So I'm pretty much almost done. So I'm just gonna let the beef marinate with the seasoning. Just mix it in really well over here. So just have to, yeah, mix it all in like so. So simple. For me, this takes me, in terms of chopping, frying it, it takes me less than two, I would say with those two, probably an hour. And then later on, as you would see, I'm going to section it out, and that would take me some time as well. So overall, just this whole process could take me, if I do it really quickly, it could really take me an hour and a half. But if I sort of take my time, then I would say just under 2 hours. So it's not too bad. And I could say, like I've mentioned earlier, because this is a habit, I've been doing this same all the time. Obviously, sometimes I do have different sources of protein, but mainly I have this. I've got the turkey, chicken, beef steak. Sometimes I have a different kind. For example, what else do I have? Sometimes I have pork. Sometimes I have kangaroo meat. Only in Australia. So kangaroo meat is a thing in Australia. Sometimes I have prawns. And then I just divide that by 5. But I always make sure that whatever I weigh, I record it so that I could plug that into MyFitnessPal as accurately as possible. So that's pretty much done. I'm gonna pop this in this big one here because I've just run out of the other container. So that's there, as you could see. Perfect. That's pretty much all the protein done. So I'm just gonna let this cool down. So if you could come closer. And I love this part because my protein is prepped. So pretty much turkey, chicken, steak, beef mince, 5 days prepped protein. For the week, I have variety, a combination of white and red meat. I'm happy. This is going to sustain me throughout the week. Obviously, I have my carbs and my fat sources, which I will show you in a little bit. So that's done. I'm gonna let this cool down. When it comes to veggies, especially being in a fat loss phase, having higher volume foods, which is your veggies, is going to help you significantly in terms of feeling fuller for longer. And quality of calories matter. Yes, I follow a flexible dieting approach, but the quality of the foods that you're having is important, because the quality of food, what I'm saying is your veggies, because they're high in not in just a lot of micronutrients, but they have a lot of fiber as well, which is going to help obviously digestion and recovery as well, because you don't just need nutrients from your macronutrients, which is your protein, carbs and fats, but you also need micronutrients to support your immune function, to support all of your physiological bodily functions. So stocking up in veggies. So what was I getting at this? So yes, I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very, very grateful that I work from home. I have my own online business. I am an online women's coach. So I do have the flexibility of having my own hours and being able to cook at home. So I like my veggies fresh. I usually cook it before each meal that I have. Sometimes if I am time poor and I need to be out during the day, then I would cook it the night before or in the morning. I'll wake up earlier and do it in the morning if I can't have access to a kitchen. So when you cook your veggies, the fresher, the better. If you do prep it in advance, I wouldn't prepare it more than 3 days, because after 3 days of it being cooked, it's going to be off and no one really likes that. So it's better to have it as fresh as possible. But if you can't, I understand that, then try not to leave it for more than 3 days. So that's my tip for making your veggies. And also with veggies, how I normally cook my veggies is I steam it. Steaming is basically, so if you just over here, I'm not gonna steam it because I basically pop some water in here and then I wash my veggies, steam it, chuck the lid on with the veggies in there, and it literally is so fast. It literally takes less than 5 minutes, and then I pop it into, I mix it up. I have it with my protein and the carb source that I'm having, which is rice or noodles. So in saying that, I'm not gonna cook it today, but basically with my carb sources now, I'm having basmati rice. I do have a rice cooker, which I'm gonna do it a little bit. So basically I like to weigh my rice raw and I keep that consistent. I don't weigh it cooked. So let's just say I'm having 50 grams of basmati rice, that is raw weight, then I'll times that by 5. So every single day I'm having 50 grams. 50 times 5 is 250. So then I will literally, I will cook it tonight, but literally I will weigh my basmati rice. I will do it right now for you guys. All right, so with the basmati rice, I will be having that for lunch. So I like I mentioned, I'm weighing it raw. So over here, I am going to have 50 grams of rice for my lunch every single day. So 50 times 5, which is 250. So I'm just gonna weigh 250. So when you weigh rice, pasta, or sweet potato, so all of those carb sources, make sure that you are weighing it either, if you're weighing it raw, then weigh it raw consistently. If you're weighing it cooked, then weigh it cooked consistently, because it's different in terms of the calories when you weigh it, when you track it raw or cooked. Because raw, it's usually lighter in weight, but once you add rice into it, it absorbs the water. I mean, once you add water into the rice, it absorbs the water, so the volume is more. So it's very different in terms of the macronutrients when you track it in your nutrition app as raw or cooked. So I do everything raw. I've always been doing it this way. It's just more consistent. Sometimes you add a little bit more water, sometimes you add a little bit less water, so there's some variance. I like to have it consistent as I possibly can. So if you're doing it raw, do it raw. If you're doing it cooked, do it cooked. So 250 here for my rice, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wash it, and then give me a second, I'm just gonna use another, because the other one was dirty, so I'm just going to use this, put it in here. So when I cook my rice, this is how I cook it. I don't really use I do it every now and then, the packaged microwave rice, because I'm Asian. I cook my rice. It tastes better that way. Most of you Asians that are listening would understand. There's no right or wrong, but for convenience, sometimes I do have to go and have the packaged rice, because it's just easier. All I do is just pop it in the microwave. I don't have to wait for the rice to cook. So I do use that, but most of the time it is a lot cheaper to cook your own rice, because those packaged rice can add up. That's what I realized. So what I do with the rice is I wash it like so. As you could see, I just wait till I can't see the white anymore. So cooking this, and then just gonna chuck it into the rice cooker. So then, even though I weighed 250 grams here, I still put 50 grams in my MyFitnessPal, so the app that I'm using, and I make sure that when you do track it into the app, to make sure that it is cooked, raw rate, raw, not cooked. So yeah, that's a good tip for you guys. So just gonna, jeez, that was really loud. Not that aggressive, but just gonna pop that in there, add some water in it. So usually when I add the water, I never measure. Like, I don't measure at all. This is the Asian way. So basically, I just have the water up to there. So from the rice up to just below the dent of my index finger. So just below there. So I just sort of roughly guess that would be good to go. Probably add a little bit more water to it, because I've been doing this for such a long time. Everything's just by look, just by feel. I don't have time to get a measuring cup and do all of that, but it should be fine. And then that is good to go. Oops, if that works. So, I'm gonna turn that off. Okay, so that's good. So while that is cooking, I'm gonna take you to the final part of my protein meal prep. So right now, because it's cooled down, I'm going to section this into 5 different bags. So I am going to use Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags is honestly so helpful for portion control. I know back in the days where I had a very poor relationship with food, and how I healed with that is obviously through a lot of education, a lot of mindset work. And yes, I do love food, but there are times where I don't have good self-control. But I'd like to think right now, the older I get, the more mature that I am when it comes to food. So for me, I'd like to think that I have good control. But I know a lot of my clients, when they have a packet of chips, they can't seem to stop. So having Ziploc bags to section out serving size is definitely helpful. I used to do this for chocolate. So with chocolate, I used to just cut it up into small pieces and put it in Ziploc bags so that it's portion control. But I don't do that anymore because, like I mentioned, over time, I've just built the habit of, like, food is food at the end of the day. It's always going to be around tomorrow. Like, I don't know, my mindset's changed a lot. So so that's a tip if you want to have better self-control, is Ziploc bags is going to be really helpful. I've tried a lot of methods myself. There's methods of if you tend to binge or overeat with foods that you can't control, Ziploc bags. Also, not having them in your sight, so not having them in your pantry. I love food. As you could see from my fridge before, there was absolutely no chocolate, or well, dark chocolate, because that's an exception, but there was no chips, there's no any, I suppose, fun, like those really high calorie dense foods. I love them, but in saying that, just not having them in my fridge helps. Like, not having it in your sight helps. That's if you really want to work on your self-control. But having it in occasionally, please have it occasionally. So anyway, back to this. I am going to I'm going to get 5 bags. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags. And then what I'm going to do is I divide them. So if you come over here, chicken and turkey is what I will have in a lunch. So I'm going to put this together. And then beef mince and beef is 1 meal, which I'm going to have for dinner. So I'm going to have 5 lots of bags for this, 5 lots of bags for this. So divide this by 5 for Monday all the way through to Friday. Divide this by 5 Monday through to Friday. So this together is lunch and this together is dinner. And that's it. So I'm going to section them out. So when I section them out, because the weight is different, what I do is I'm going to weigh the whole thing. I'm just going to do it with the one because it is a process, and this is where it can take quite some time. So because I've already recorded this is what I'm going to record the raw rate into MyFitnessPal. Now I'm just going to weigh the chicken, and this is the process that I always do because the weight is going to be different being cooked. So I'm going to weigh all of this. So this, as you could see, comes to 400. 400, I'm going to divide that by 5, and that's 80. So then I'm going to weigh 80 in each bag. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do the same for the turkey. I'm going to do the same for the steak, and I'm going to do the same for the beef. And that's it. All right, so I've pretty much sectioned all of the protein for the 5 days into these Ziploc bags, as you could see here. So you could see I've got 5. So the chicken and the turkey is put together, and I've got the 5 for lunch over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then for dinner, I have the beef mince as well as the steak. Same again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So my 5 days is set for lunch and dinner. I'm gonna wait for the rice to finish cooking, and then I'm going to section that out into 5, and that is going to go with my protein. And as I've mentioned with the veggies, I'm going to cook it on the day, and that's basically my lunch covered. With my dinner, I have been having it with veggies. I was having it with noodles, but now my calories are a little bit lower. I don't have room for noodles, so I'm just gonna have it with veggies. I usually have it with bok choy, zucchini. I have zucchini noodles. Zucchini, I just sort of grate it into, I grate the zucchini, so it's like noodles. It just brings up the volume. So next time, in another video, I'm going to take you through what I eat in a day and how I, in each meals, what I have. But this is just showing you what my protein is going to be, as well as basically what the staples that I have throughout the day. So lunch, dinner, rice is going to be cooked. For breakfast, I have my protein overnight oats, and I'm going to make that for you. So typically when it comes to my morning oats, it's so simple. It's so easy. I'm quick and easy. I don't cook it. It's basically put all the dry ingredients into a bowl, chuck it in the fridge. In the next morning, I just whip it out of the fridge, where the oats will soak in the milk and the protein. It has a fluffy texture. I pop in toppings and I have it with my coffee. That's essentially my breakfast for protein overnight oats. Lunch, dinner, sorted. Monday through to Friday is all sorted, all prepped, ready to go, and that's my meal prep. So I'm going to actually show you how I prep. Actually, I won't show you. I will show you in my next video, where I would do a day on a full day of eating, just so that you could get some inspo from what I eat. So when it comes to my protein, basically my breakfast, is basically oats, mix in some protein powder, and then add in some milk, mix it all up. That's basically it. Oats, unsweetened almond milk, protein powder, mix it up. So simple. Put it in the fridge, wrap it up, and then I'll have that in the morning. I will show you that in another video, but that's basically done. And that is basically my meal prep for the whole week ahead. Prepped and ready to go. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you were able to get some tips, some inspo that could help you when you are doing your meal prep for the next time. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel so that you are able to see more videos like this in the near future. I also did have a grocery haul video where I went grocery shopping to show you the foods that I get and my staples for fat loss. So if you haven't seen that video, please click the link here to watch that. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.